So today we're going to be talking about plate boundaries, and we have three different kinds of plate boundaries that we're going to talk about. And we're also going to kind of talk about a review of our landforms and how our plate boundaries have to do with our landforms. So our first one, right here, does anybody know what this is called? Where you have two plates that are coming together. Either one goes under, or they both come up like this.
Convergent.
Convergent. Okay, and what are some landforms that we already know of that we get from convergent plate boundaries?
A mountain.
A mountain, and that's what, when they come up or down?
When they come up.
And what's the other one that we learned about where it goes down?
A valley.
A valley. Okay, very good. So we have this one right here, and this is a plate boundary that we talked about, like with the San Andreas Fault in California. And does anyone remember what this one's called? Where they rub side to side. Transform. Okay, that's a transform boundary, and that's where we get a lot of things like earthquakes, because the land is rubbing side to side, and it'll catch and then release. And then our last one is where our plate boundaries are pulling apart. Does anyone remember what that is?
Divergent.
Divergent. And there's it's a landform that we get, but it's kind of underwater. Does anyone remember what that's called? What we get from divergent plate boundaries? Starts with a T.
Trenches.
Trenches. So our plate boundaries are kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, and they make up the foundation of the surface of the Earth. And it's like a bunch of different pieces that are covering our planet, and they're all kind of moving in these different directions. But we get them made out of these three different types of plate boundaries. So we have the convergent, where you have two plates that are either one's going underneath the other one, or they're smashing up to make mountains and things like volcanoes. Or you're getting transform plate boundaries where they're just rubbing alongside each other. And then you're getting things like divergent plate boundaries where they're pulling apart. And you get things like, what does this red represent?
Magma.
Magma. And where's the magma coming from?
The core.
The core. So is that from underneath or above the crust?
Underneath.
Underneath. So when you're getting plates like divergent plate boundaries where they're going this way and they're pulling apart from each other, that's where you get the magma that comes out onto the surface like that. So what we're going to have today is an activity, and it's going to be kind of a hands-on, so that you can see exactly how these plate boundaries work with one another. So what this chocolate frosting is going to represent right now is our magma. And these are graham crackers are going to be our plates, which is the crust of the Earth. So now we're going to practice the different plate boundaries. So first, we're going to go ahead and stick our plates right on there. And if we're going to do convergent, we already learned that one plate goes on top and the other one goes down. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift it up just a little bit. We're going to hold it right here, and we're going to push. Okay, and we see how that goes under. So that's going to be a convergent plate boundary. Now, this is what I'm going to show you what it's kind of like when it makes mountains. Okay, so we're just going to take our graham crackers, and we're just going to dip them. Just 1, 2, 3, and then that should be good. So get them just a little bit wet. I'm going to stick them back on our plate, and then we're going to push them together. There we go. And that kind of looks like what happens when mountains are formed, is the land pushes up from the plate boundaries. Okay, next we're going to do divergent. This one's pretty easy. If you have your two different plate boundaries, they're going to want to pull away from each other. and that's it. And then for our transform, we're just going to go ahead and stick these together, and we're just going to run them right back and forth, just like that.